Hi there everybody, this is David, and I love the PlayStation 2. That console was right by my side through some many trying times in my 20s. And yeah, there were some great games for it, but there was also some really freaking bad games for it. And I've played a lot of games for the PS2, and today I want to go over the worst of the worst. And I definitely do think that that's totally worth a sub and a like as I'm trying to level up this year. With your help, I just know that I can do it, so thank you so much for that. And now let's go ahead and dive into the absolute bottom of the barrel, dumpster fire abyss of PS2 awful RPGs. Number 10, Xeno Saga 2. Poor Xeno Saga. This offshoot franchise of Xenogears had so much hype and potential around it. The first one was a nice dip in the pool, with memorable characters, a simple but fun battle system, along with a cool skill tree and interesting story. The second took everything that made the first one special and just ripped it to shreds though. Gone are the memorable characters. You're instead stuck with the tertiary Junior and Momo, and also the story is really gone as well, just replaced instead by hours-long cutscenes. And hell, even the graphics took a downturn. Then, there's the kiss of death, the battles. I don't know what they were thinking, but they seriously take upwards of 10 minutes just to get through the random encounters. The Xeno series may be good, but this entry is better off skipped. Number 9, Orphan, Scion of Sorcery. I remember back when this game was first announced, and everybody thought that it was going to be like the second coming. But then it finally came out, and gamers everywhere just let it a collective, eh. The battles are just so weird. I feel like it would have been so much better if it was an action RPG, but it's not. It's this weird, laggy, turn-based mess, but it's also real-time at the same time. It just doesn't work. The AI moves you when it feels like it, and then everything is just so off. But then, there's the boss fights, which kind of look cool, but in actuality, they're just tedious. The bosses can only be hit during a tiny window of opportunity, and if you don't do it quickly enough, you die. The end. It's so frustrating. I hate whenever developers make bosses like 1,000 times harder than the regular fights. Looking at you, Bravely Default. Number 8, Drakengard. You know how most JRPG heroes act like heroic, stoic paragons of virtue? Well, that's not going to happen here. Welcome to a game where your main cast is composed of incestuous psychopaths, cannibals, and pedophiles. The visuals are actually pretty unsettling, and the gameplay's just odd. It's an action RPG in the style of Dynasty Warriors, but with an aerial, dragon-riding twist. And that might sound pretty cool, but it gets old. Quickly. Then, in a very The Little Mermaid plot twist, Ariel here trades his voice for the power of the gods, as you continue to find other crazy whack jobs who sacrifice dearly for power too. It's just so off the wall, and please hear me that this is not a good game. In fact, in Japan it is called Drag on Dragoon because it just drags on. After about 10 hours you're gonna beat the game and have a decent ending, only for it to suddenly declare that it's not actually over, and you have to complete more missions to see other endings, which don't make any sense. Screw that. Just turn this mess of a game off. Number 7, Evergrace. Y'all know Dark Souls? The ridiculously hard action RPG that first came out on the PS3? Well, this is some Dark Souls before Dark Souls. Only, Dark Souls actually built a fan base and was rewarding in its challenge. Evergrace didn't. It's just ridiculously hard for its own sake. There's no great payoff for beating its hellacious challenge. It's just one after another. Then there's the camera, which might actually fight against you more than the monsters themselves because it can literally make you physically ill. I mean, I guess the game gets some credit for kind of birthing the genre, but honestly, just forget this and leave it in the past. Number 6, Dawn of Mana. As far as I'm concerned, this could go down to the history books as the most disappointing RPG that I've ever played. The Mana series was a childhood staple of mine, so I was pleasantly surprised when in the mid-2000s, Square announced that they were revisiting the series with the World of Mana, which included real-time strategy games for the DS, and Dawn of Mana,
which was supposed to be a prequel to the series and a return to form. Except all it really is a cautionary tale on how not to create a game with a jerky camera that you fight against, a horrible Havoc combat system which revolves around kicking objects all around the screen to kill enemies, and a convoluted mess of a story. But if that's not bad enough, at the end of every single chapter, the game resets all of your hard-earned levels back to 1. How this ever passed playtesting is anybody's guess. Number 5. Chaos Wars. At least they got the name right. I mean, this game certainly is chaotic, and quite legendary too, but for all the wrong reasons. Let's even just put the god-awful voice acting to the side for a moment. The translation is so completely nonsensical that even basic things like, character names were mistranslated, which is a pretty big deal considering that the game's selling point is that it's a mishmash of characters from all different franchises coming together to fight. However, most of them you probably won't even know because they are Japan-only franchises, and whenever you have a 5-person party to fight with, you're going to be getting tons of characters to join you, and then you're going to be forced to use people in your 5-person party who are like 20 levels behind. It just sucks, and there's no way you're going to want to level any of those no-names up equally in this shitty-ass game. Number 4. The Legend of Alandar. This game is just cheap. I mean, look at it. It's games like this that made me kind of hate 3D gaming back in the day. I mean, 2D RPGs were just gorgeous on the SNES, and then they just got ugly as hell on the PlayStation 1, and they really didn't get all that much prettier in the early days of the PS2. And seriously, I am not one to really get hung up on graphics, but this is just awful. The entire game consists of nothing but side quests and collectathons. Basically, the entire game is finding random ass shit just strewn about the world, and then beating up whatever the hell gets in your way until you stumble across something that might constitute a plot. But don't hold your breath, because you're not going to be playing this dumpster fire for very long. Number 3. Ephemeral Fantasia. I hated the movie, and I hate the game. But what movie, you ask? Well, Groundhog Day, of course. If I don't want to spend an hour and a half watching a movie where Bill Murray does the same thing over and over and over again, I certainly don't want to spend 30 hours doing it in an RPG either. Here, you're a thief masquerading as a musician who's ferried to an island to perform at a royal wedding, only to find out that he's actually stuck in a time loop, starting with your arrival and then culminating with the wedding itself. So, it's your job to stop this loop along with your trusty talking guitar. And seeing as the game, again, is stuck in a time loop, all the NPCs have schedules that they stick to, and you have to memorize these schedules in order to attend the various events, recruit allies, complete side quests, and play mini-games. And it's just so bastardized. It's horrid. Number 2. Unlimited Saga. Before we start, let me just say that yeah, the graphics are great and the soundtrack is superb, but this is a Saga game, so it's obviously strange, and like many of those games, you start off by choosing your protagonist, each with a different story and a different goal. And that can be a nice foundation for a good game. But a good game will not be found here. Talk about $50 down the drain. Sometimes Square can get too off the wall for their own good, so much so that I don't think that the designers even knew what they were doing with this one. It plays more like a randomized board game than anything else. Everything is dependent on the RNG down to the nth degree. There's randomness involved in the battles, the shopping system, and even your movement. None of it works. You can't plan or do anything because everything is just random. And finally, number 1, Falling Stars. This could very well be the worst RPG ever made. And saving that, it's at least the worst RPG on the PS2, bar none. It's so odd because, why in the hell was this ever made in the first place? Yeah, it's marketed towards young girls, but that's no excuse for this trash bag of a game. You're a spirit who takes control of a young girl who in turn controls a blue blob, and she's trying to stop her uncle. But in order to really stop him, you have to play an inordinate amount of horrible, horrible minigames with trash-ass controls and little to no story connecting them. And the battle system is just essentially rock, paper, scissors, except you're choosing colors to deal damage. Boring, slow, and ridiculous doesn't even begin to describe it. I warn you, I implore you, please don't ever play this game, as it's probably the worst RPG I've ever played in my entire life. Well, that's it for the top 10 worst PlayStation 2 JRPGs. What are the worst games that you've played on the system? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video and wanted to hear on the channel, please consider supporting me over on the Patreon, heading on over to Twitch for some streaming fun, or joining up the Discord to chat and hang out. The links to them all can be found in the video description. This has been David. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.